back to the Mex Mundo kitchen. Today's recipe is for another Mexican pan dulce that is super yummy. It's called Besos or YOYOS, which would translate to kisses or yo-yos. That one's the same word. It's a really yummy sweet bread. Obviously recipes vary from states, from regions, even from household to household. So I'm just going to share the one how we make it. It's really good and I hope you guys enjoy preparing it. The ingredients you need to make the cookies for your besos are 550 grams of all-purpose flour, the equivalent is 4 cups, 10 grams of baking powder, the equivalent is 3 teaspoons, 1 pinch of salt, 220 grams of white granulated sugar, the equivalent is 1 cup, 330 grams of butter, room temperature, the equivalent is 1.5 cups, 1 whole egg, room temperature, 2 egg yolks, room temperature, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, the zest of 2 lemons, 80 milliliters of milk at room temperature as well, and the equivalent is 6 tablespoons. For the filling, you're going to need 90 grams of strawberry jam, the equivalent is 1/3 of a cup. And for the coating, you need 100 grams of room temperature butter, the equivalent is 1/2 cup. 100 grams of strawberry jam, the equivalent is 1/2 cup. 100 grams of granulated white sugar, the equivalent is 7 tablespoons. And 30 grams of shredded coconut, it's dehydrated, and the equivalent is 5 tablespoons. Okay, so this recipe, despite the amount of ingredients, is really easy, really simple, so don't get worried that, oh, it's going to be too much work. You can also do this recipe by hand if you don't have a mixer. You just need a really huge bowl so that you can mix in all the ingredients. The thing you would do is you just add them the same way I'm adding them into the bowl, the same order, except the mixing would be with your hands or with your kids' hands if you have kids. So the first thing we're going to do is in our bowl and with the globe attachment, we're going to add our room temperature butter and our sugar, and we're going to whip it until most of the sugar is dissolved and it looks nice and fluffy. Once that's happened, we're going to add our whole egg and the 2 egg yolks in there, and we're going to continue mixing. After that, we'll add our milk, our vanilla extract, and the zest of the lemons, and we continue mixing. After that, we're going to add our dry ingredients, which we previously sifted. So we're going to add our flour, our baking powder, and our salt in there. You can either just dump it all in or add it by spoonfuls if you sift it into a separate bowl. It doesn't matter. And then basically that's done. You continue mixing until you have a nice, smooth and well integrated dough. Okay, so before we get started, you should preheat your oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit. You're going to make balls. It's kind of like a crumbly cookie texture. So what you do is you need trays, you need baking paper, and you're going to form 40-gram balls. Let me show you. I like weighing them. It's not necessary, but I do like them to be more or less the same size because they end up being forming kind of like a sandwich. So just weigh them, and what you do, you make your ball and then you just drop it on the tray. Be sure to leave space in between each of your little cookie balls because they will expand quite a bit. And you're going to bake your cookies at the same temperature I told you to preheat, which is 180 Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit. And you're going to bake them for 15 to 20 minutes or until they look slightly golden. Once they're done, take them out of the oven and put them to cool down on a rack. Okay, so the next part is super easy. We're just getting a head start before the cookies come out of the oven. What you're going to do is the coconut and the sugar, you're just going to mix them in one bowl. You just give it a mix so it turns into one coating. And the strawberry jam and the butter you're going to mix in a separate bowl, and you're just going to, with a spatula, kind of mash it in so you have just also one coating. So you're going to end up with 2 separate bowls, one with dry ingredients and one with wet ingredients, and those we're going to use once our cookies have cooled down. Okay, so most of our cookies are out of the oven, a few are still in there, but let's get started so we finish faster. A beso, the sweet bread, the pan dulce, is basically a sandwich of cookies. So you have the 2 cookies stacked upon each other, but it's not just like that. What you're going to do is you grab one of your halves, and on the flat side you're going to put some jam, just the plain strawberry jam, and then you're going to close it with the other cookie. And then with a pastry brush, you're gonna grab some of the mix of the butter and strawberry jam, and you're just gonna brush it on one of the sides. And then with your hands, just sprinkle some of the mix of the sugar and coconut on there so it sticks to the butter and jam. And then you flip it over and you do the same thing with the pastry brush. You brush on the mix of butter and jam, and then again you sprinkle sugar coconut mix, and then you do that with all your cookies until you finish forming your besos. Okay, so we are done making our besos, or yoyos, how we call them in Spanish. As you saw, it's super easy, super simple. They're a bit messy to eat, but they are so nice that who cares? You can just, with a napkin, wipe off anything that gets on your fingers. It's also fun to make them because, yeah, you get all dirty, but for me, it's very fun. I enjoy working with food, so that's something that doesn't bug me at all. Just as a tip, before I forget, the recipe makes quite a few besos. So if, let's say, you're a small household and there's no way you can eat so much pan dulce, what you do is you just prepare as many as you want to eat, and in a Tupperware, you can just keep the coconut sugar in one Tupperware, you close it, and then the same thing for the butter and the jam. You can put that in the fridge, and then you just leave the cookies unprepared, and eventually when you want to eat them, you can take out the portion of butter and jam you need so it softens, and then you just do the process I showed you like that. You have fresh besos for when you want to eat them, and not that you make them all and they get all soggy or you end up throwing them away. Just as a tip so you don't feel you have to make them all at once. Right now around the world in May, often Mother's Day is being celebrated. Here in Switzerland it's soon, and Mexico also, and I just want to wish anyone who plays the role of a mom, teachers, neighbors, grandmoms, dads, anyone who's being a mom, happy Mother's Day. See you guys.